Hey guys, it's Krista living sober. I'm back for another episode. I'm so sorry that it's taking me forever to come back on here, but I have been judging myself so hard, and that kind of gave me the inspiration today to jump back on here so I can talk about judgment a little bit with you guys, and also just it will help me get over what I'm judging myself about. So, judgment. I really didn't want to continue with my podcast because I went through my episodes and I was listening to my voice, I was listening to the stories I was saying, and we are our own worst critics, and I did that to myself. I was criticizing whether I was good enough, whether I sounded good enough, whether I had a good message to, send to everyone, whether or not it was long enough or short enough or whatever it was. I just judged myself really harshly, and it made me just want to stop doing this podcast. It made me, I got into my own head, and I made myself believe that I wasn't good enough. I made myself believe I was less than. And, it's just such a dangerous mindset to get stuck in. So that brings me back. Like, I can remember so many times in my past where I got stuck in judgment, and the judgments led me down a dark and dangerous path. So I guess you can see my judgments started when I was younger. Ever since I can remember, I have been judging myself internally, and it's so sad. And at times it can be very paralyzing, because it gets me personally stuck in a rut, and from that rut I'm like stuck in mud, and I can't get myself out. I will dwell in that negative mindset, that judgmental thinking, and it can be scary. But so, growing up, I think I had such a hard time with being different, with being adopted, with feeling abandoned, feeling alone and unwanted. And even though, like, my adopted family gave me a place and a home and a family, I couldn't get away from my thoughts, my judgments. I couldn't separate myself from, feelings of loneliness. And so I judged myself. I just judged myself completely, to the point where I believed I wasn't good enough. I believed I wasn't wanted. I believed I deserved being alone and abandoned, And these are these thoughts that I think grew inside of me and became so big and became so true that I believe that, these self-judgments caused my fear, caused my anger, caused my anxiety and depression. And I lived with it for years. Honestly, I lived with it until 2 years ago, when I decided to make the life-changing decision to get sober for good. I lived with that all my life. And to find myself judging these days, to sit with my judgment, it is a little different because I've changed, but it's still sad and it's still scary, and I still can get stuck in the mud, in the rut, and I can become paralyzed by that self-judgment still. But so by growing that negative mindset inside of myself, it became the truth. It became my real, and I think that's a huge part, the self-judgment that led me to, hang out with people who, kind of were down, kind of self-judged themselves too. I felt more not alone when, you hang out with the people who, are maybe the misfits in society because, well, we don't care. And that's exactly what happened. We didn't care. And I could find myself so many times in my life where I put myself in situations like that where if I didn't care, where nothing mattered, I didn't give a shit. And the only thing I cared about was drinking and getting high and fucking around, Um, but so my self-judgment led me to wanting to escape the negative self-talk, the negative mindset, because by drinking, I was able to set myself free. I felt such a release at the age of 12, when I had my first drink, because in that moment, I realized that there was something in this world that I could drink, that I could take, that would shut my mind up for such a short amount of time. And that was enough to show me that I needed to shut that part of my mind off all the time. And I think that's what led me to getting such a high satisfaction from alcohol. And although obviously the effects of alcohol feel good, but have a negative consequence, negative outcomes for me anyway. And that's exactly what happened. I got myself out of, what I thought was the negative self mind, but I put myself into such a bigger negative self-destruction than self-judgment, which was drinking. But anyway, like the self-judgment left for a bit, right? And then I was drunk. And then, but I realized I had to keep doing that. I realized in order for me to feel better, to feel good, I had to escape my mind because I couldn't just stop judging myself. Everywhere I looked, I felt judged. I saw judgment. And whether or not people were actually judging me, maybe they weren't, but I thought they were. But also maybe that was just a huge thing about not feeling accepted or not even being accepted, because it's hard when you're younger. People are actually really mean, and I gravitated to the people who were more accepting. And usually, well, for me, that was the misfits. That was the people who liked the party. It wasn't the people who were, doing the right thing. Like I like to say, like, I wish I could go back in time and do the right thing and not have to rely on getting drunk and doing drugs and being stupid all the time. You know what I mean? But I can't go back and change the past. And I know the mistakes I've made, but I also had to forgive myself, which is a whole nother episode, but I had to let myself know that in my past, in my childhood years, in my teenage years, and even in my 20s, that everything I did to escape my self-judgment, to escape the painful feelings of my own thoughts, it wasn't my fault. Okay? Like, we could play the blame game forever if I wanted to, and put the blame on other people. But I think when you're a baby, when you're little, you have no control over your nature and nurture. You don't. All the outside factors do. And so you kind of grow up in whatever mindset that you feel comfortable in, because nobody else can change your mindset. You are your mind. right? So because I got adopted, because my mom gave me up for adoption, because my adoptive parents adopted me, I had no choice but to, nature nurture that shit. I felt abandoned. And I have to forgive myself for thinking that way. Because I wasn't abandoned, okay? I had a loving family. I had a loving mom and dad and siblings and a house to live in and clothes to wear and food to eat, We had a swimming pool in the backyard. I wasn't in such a bad place, but, like externally, it wasn't bad. Internally, it was bad. And I internalized so many negative feelings to the point, like I said, that it created that feeling of despair, which became another limb. and I did so much stupid shit to escape that feeling. But anyway, so these judgments, I lived with them forever. And I judged myself even harder when, after a night of drinking, after a night of being stupid, I woke up and felt like shit, and I judged myself even harder, So even though I escaped that mindset, that judgment a little bit, it came back, but it came back intensified. So I don't even know what I was doing. Like, I wanted to escape the judgment, so I drank, but then the judgment came back so harder. And you know what? That led to a pattern, a cycle of just constantly being fucked up because, like, you didn't want to be sober at that point, but you wanted to be fucked up because becoming sober after being fucked up was way worse than when you started. I think it's a big part of why a lot of my relationships didn't work, because I always left room for myself to judge, I guess, myself, I mean, I was so vulnerable. I kind of, I guess, paired up with other people who were vulnerable, who needed, that care, the positive, like, relationship shit, whatever. But I guess what I'm trying to say is that I never could escape the judgment. And even in relationships, it was always there. And I think it's one of the big reasons why I made a lot of relationships so difficult. And, I can look back and say that a lot of it was me, but a lot of it was other people too. And I can't completely blame myself because it's not fair, I have said some crazy hurtful things, but again, I can look back and see that that was such a reflection of the way I felt about myself and not about that other person. I mean, unless it's a completely different situation, then, you're not the crazy one. But a lot of the times when I was drunk, when I was angry, when I was so blinded by the negative self-talk, the negative feelings, and being drunk, I couldn't see the truth of my actions or my words. Sometimes I needed a smack in the face to wake up, to see I was being a douchebag. I really wanted to protect myself against rejection, I guess, in relationships and failure. But that never worked out because I was never protected from any of that. If I judge myself, then maybe I'll feel safe and loved and accepted by others, so they don't have to judge me. But no, that's not how it works. I guess to escape the judgmental mindset, I had to enter into therapy, which I did for such a long time, off and on since I was age 13. And a lot of it did help me realize what I was doing in my mind. It made me realize that in order to live a better life, I had to change my mind. And that was like a really hard thing to do. My mind was so concrete in believing one and only way. And that way was, I'm not good enough. I suck. I deserve to be alone. Nobody loves me. I'm ugly. All the negative shit. And it was so concrete. The wall was built so high. And I don't know, at some point, the wall just started crumbling on its own, though. You know what I mean? Like, I would drink with people and I would fight with people. I would become angry. I would see red. It completely changed. I was going off the wall. I was starting fights. I was ending up in random places. I was ending up in the ER, hospital rooms, fighting with nurses and doctors because I was so belligerent, so fucked up. I probably didn't even know who I was or what I was doing there. But I would calm down and go home and be like, what the fuck is wrong with me? My life got so out of control, and for a lot of it, I alienated myself with my self-judgmental thoughts. I pushed everybody away. It was just easier than, it was just easy. So towards the end, the judgment turned into like a black hole where I just didn't fucking care anymore. I stopped caring, and it was either death or just complete numbness. I think I would have gone to heroin, or I would have done some stupid other fucking drug that would completely numb me, more than alcohol would, or does, or did. Because I don't drink anymore, not does. It was did, past tense. But, yeah. The night that I was laying in the hospital bed, I had an out-of-body experience, and I looked down on myself lying there in the bed, and I needed to fucking change, and something just said it wasn't my time. It wasn't the end. That wasn't it. So in detox, I was still judging myself. I judged myself for being in that position again, for fucking up again. I judged myself because I was like, is this my life? Like, here I am again in a program, in a place where I feel like a failure. But honestly, it was the start of a new beginning, a new journey towards the light this time, and I'm so happy that I kept with it. And today, I still judge myself so hard, that's one reason why I'm doing this episode, is because the last time I did the episode, I listened to it and I judged myself so hard. I was like, why am I even doing a podcast? What am I even doing? And nobody cares about the podcast, like, I don't even care about it. And then I just start going into these crazy cycles of hate, of self-hate, self-negative talk, and I don't know, it's crazy. But I'm so happy that I have Steven in my life, that I have people that I work with, or people, even strangers, who message me and will comment and say, hey, like, you motivate me, or hey, like, that made me feel good, or hey, like, thank you for sharing something because, that helped me smile. Or even thank you for, talking about faith, talking about God, talking about your addictions because it helps me. And that's the shit that I'll keep doing this for, because maybe it will help somebody. I have so much stuff inside of me, so much good today. And I know it was there before. I just didn't give myself enough credit for the good that I had in me. But I have that in me today. And I know that I can go out into the world and help other people who are dealing with the shit that I went through. And I just want to show people that you can come out of the self-judgment. You don't have to be stuck there, because that's like the worst place to be. Although I still judge myself today, like I was talking about, about the podcast, about whatever it is that I judge myself about today. I have to always remember that I am worthy, that I am not just the negative shit talk that's stuck in my head, I am not what I am in my mind, and doing a lot of yoga, doing a lot of meditation practicing and breathing techniques have helped me so much, you guys. Meditation has made me feel so much compassion in my heart again, and it quiets my mind in a healthy, sober way, where I don't have to, numb my mind with alcohol or drugs. I don't have to escape my reality into a demonic reality, because I don't know, that's just fucked up. And I was so fucked up before. I'm happy to be clean and sober today. I think I'm going to do a meditation with you guys at some time when I get around to it, because I think meditation is the key to healing, as well as anything healthy, yoga, exercise, journaling. Journaling helped a lot too in my past. I know that like getting the words out of your head, it helps to clear that space, so they're not just stuck up there. Although that also is a temporary fix, but these are things that you just have to replace the negatives with the positive, So today I kind of am just rambling on because I didn't write anything down, and I was judging myself so hard for writing stuff down, because when I wrote stuff down and read it back, I sounded like a robot. I sounded like I was just looking up stuff online and like reading it, but whatever, that's not the case. So today I kind of just wanted to jump on here, talk about self-judgment, and I don't know, I guess see how far I have truly come since I was that child, judging myself. And here I am at 31 years old, sometimes still judging myself, not as much, but I love myself. I give myself way more credit, nowadays, and I never loved myself in the past. I never gave myself the credit that I do today. I feel like I'm a part of something. I have my own family. I have 2 great puppies, and today actually marks the day when, well, not today, but this week, last year, I lost my dog that I had for 7 years. And that dog, man, like, she brought me out of so much darkness in the past, and my heart has such a special place for her. I'm not gonna cry, but I miss my Zila girl, Whenever I judge myself, I could just go on a hike with my dog, and that would be such a positive way to forget that I held on to anything negative inside, And rest in peace, puppy. I know she's in such a better place and she's not in pain. And now I have 2 beautiful puppies that I get to call my own. And, the cycle of life, right? It goes on, and you lose some, and some will stay forever. But I think the most important thing that we have to take away from life is to love ourselves, to not be so hard on ourselves. We are divine. You know, we have such beautiful light and energy inside of ourselves, and we're all made from the divine, you know. So once we tarnish that and once we start going off the deep end into the dark, it's so easy for the dark to consume you. And I just want to say thank you for those who still listen to me, who take the time out of the day to listen to my podcast. And I want to say thank you to those who are in my life, who guide me, who encourage me, who push me beyond the limits still, you know, because without you guys, I don't think I would be where I am, you know. And I look back and there's some people who are dead, you know, who won't be able to be here, but they were lights in my life as well, you know. They never gave up on me, and I never want to give up on myself, and I don't think any of you should give up on yourselves ever. You guys are worth it, and have a blessed Thursday. You know, love yourself, hug yourself, literally do it, and just know that you are not your self-judgment. You are love, okay, and you are loved. Namaste. This is January 2nd, and today's topic is take a deep breath and talk to God. Sometimes when we pray,